Hey legends, welcome back to Hellmouth Hotline. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart, and sorry that this episode is a little bit late here on Monday evening, but Fat Boy is currently trying to get himself into shape, so I was with the personal trainer tonight, put on a session with him, and then I got held up at the queue at the drive-in at McDonald's afterwards. So that's going good. So we're getting into Buffy the Vampire Slayer once more in this podcast. This is season 3, episode 12, entitled Helpless. This is a fantastic little episode, and one that really did start to jump back in my mind while I was watching it. It's been a long time again since I've properly watched this show, but sitting down to watch this one here, I enjoyed this episode so much. It's great, and it changes the dynamic at the end of the episode. But essentially in this one, Buffy has lost her strength, lost her abilities to be the Slayer. At the beginning of the episode, Giles is showing her a variety of crystals, like healing crystals, all that sort of stuff, and to teach her how to identify different types of these crystals. And that's not going well. She's bored, she's kind of drifting in and out and whatnot. That comes into play later on in the episode, but as I say, while she's on patrol afterwards, she's attacked by a vampire, and something happens. Her strength disappears on her, and she's almost killed by the vampire, and she just gets out with the skin of her teeth, essentially. So she reports the problem to Giles, and she's demonstrating it by trying to throw knives at a target, and she's missing them completely. She's completely off her game. She can't work it out. She doesn't know what's going on. And Giles is probably, saying, you're maybe just sick, bit of a flu or something like that there, take it easy for 48 hours and see what happens. At home, Buffy is disappointed that she finds out this is her birthday coming up, and her 18th birthday. It's a big one, and there's a tradition between her and her father, and he usually takes her to like an ice show, and she finds out when she gets home that through stuff going on with her father and his business and whatnot, he can't take her, and her mother is like, I can get someone to cover me and I can take you along, but she's like, no, I think it would just be nice to have a quiet birthday for a change. But she does at one point suggest to Giles that he could take her instead, so this plays in big by the end of the episode as well. But Giles is just, at this point, he's kind of obsessing over the whole crystal identification thing, and he gets her to stare into a crystal, and he says, like, look at the centre of it, this huge thing in the middle of the table, this huge crystal, and see if you can find the centre of it, the imperfection at the centre. So she stares into it, and she falls into this like trance, and he, realising that she's under, injects her with some sort of stuff and a needle. Meanwhile, Quentin Travers, the head watcher, turns up in this episode, and he's setting up a test for the Slayer, assisted by two men named Hobson and Blair. And it was kind of fun to see Dominic Keaton turning up in this episode. I believe this is well prior to Star Trek Enterprise, but maybe not. Hold on, what year did Enterprise come out? That was in the 2000s, I think. Anyway, I digress. That's another show that we'll be getting into at some point on my other podcast, Skin Me Up Body. So if you're into science fiction and Star Trek and that sort of thing, go over and check that there out. So they're setting this up, and yes, at school, there's Cordelia's having an argument with a guy that's not happy with the way he or she is treating him and whatnot. And Buffy tries to intervene and gets knocked down, and yeah, she enlists the help of her friends to figure out what is wrong. She goes, sees Angel, of course. He pops up in this episode again. He gives her a book for her birthday. He tells her about how he saw her before she was a Slayer. She's like, why, if I lose my strength, if I can't be the Slayer, would you even like me if I wasn't the Slayer? So there's a weird thing in this episode where, as much as Buffy and Angel are trying to keep just the friends sort of thing, she's vulnerable at this point, and there's a few sequences where it could go either way with the two of them. But he tells her that he seen her before she became the Slayer, and how he loved her from the second that he saw her. And we seen that flashback, I believe, that he talks about the time that he went to see her before she was the Slayer. I think now in season 2, coming up to the end of it, we were getting like Angel's side of the story and where he came from and whatnot. I do believe there was a flashback sequence in that actually showed this part that he's talking about, where she was outside the school and he seen her and whatnot, and it was part of his call and this and that and the other. But yeah, where am I at in my notes? There's a vampire in here called Kralik, or Krillik. What is his full name? Zachary Krillik, a vampire. He is captive, and he's intended to be. The test is they're going to basically trap her in a house with this vampire without her Slayer abilities and see if she can survive. That's a thing that the Slayer has to go through whenever she turns 18, or if she turns 18. He breaks out of his straitjacket while Blair's giving him his pills, and he bites him, turns him into a vampire, uses him to escape, and they kill the other guy that's there. Giles, he goes to find Quentin at the Sunnydale Arms building, but discovers that Krillik is missing and Hobson is dead. Buffy is walking home later on that night on her own. She's confronted by Krillik. She runs. As far as like the horror sort of elements in this episode go, they're fantastic. They're very, very well done. Now, in saying that, it was a mainstream show, been shown well before The Watershed, so it does have those horror elements in there, but they're nothing major that would be unsuitable for your average Joe viewer watching it. Yes, she's getting chased through the town by Blair, and interestingly, just before he confronted her in the street, there was these two guys that were like two drunks standing on a street corner, and they were kind of like taunting her and getting on, it's like, come on darling, what would it cost for you to give me a mate a lap dance sort of thing. And Buffy has that moment where she's going to turn and confront the two of them. Then she realises, I don't have my strength anymore, and she walks on, and of course Krillik shows up, and she runs, and she tries to get over a fence. She can't even climb that. She's in a bad shape, a bad way of going. Giles turns up. He drives by, picks her up at Buffy's house. Joyce hears a noise out front where she finds Krillik wrapped up in Buffy's jacket. He managed to trail that off her whenever she was running from him, and he's wearing it, and he's curled up in a ball outside the house, pretending to be Buffy. And when her mother comes out to see if she's okay, he pops up and he's like, Mummy, or Mother, or something like that. Giles, feeling guilty for what he's been doing to Buffy, he tells Buffy that she's lost her strength due to the injections of muscle relaxant and adrenaline suppressors he's been giving her, and everything about the test. Furious, Buffy returns home where she finds a picture, a Polaroid photograph. What's a Polaroid photograph? Most people are saying now. It was one of those class wee cameras that were state of the art back in the day, where you took the photograph and I printed the photograph out right there and then. Amazing piece of technology. Yes, she finds this picture of her mother. She's bound to a chair, gagged by acrylic. She goes to the Sunnydale Arms building and, yes, begins the confrontation with Blair at the beginning, beats him unconscious, and then is chased by acrylic until his need for pills become unbearable. Now, we don't really work out what these pills are for in the episode, but he's addicted to them. And we figure out that he was also a mass murderer before he was turned to a vampire. So he's not just evil as a vampire, he was evil as a human as well. So he's like the worst of the worst, basically. But these pills here, he can't do without them. Throughout the episode, whenever he was locked up, these guys were feeding him these pills to keep him under control. So I don't know if this is something that he was himself addicted to or something that these guys got him addicted to control him. I don't know. I may have missed that in the viewing of it. I was doing a couple of different things while I was watching the show, in all fairness. But these pills play a big part in the series, or the episode, as we come up towards the end of it. But there's a room in this place where Buffy finds like the walls completely covered in photographs of her mother, tied up to a chair and whatnot, and it's just a way for this guy to taunt her more and more. And yes, eventually Giles figures out where she's at, what's happening. He tells Travers, that the head watcher, that screw your test. I told her everything that in his mind, because she now knows about the test, what it is, it invalidates the test and she can't take it. And he's telling Travers this: I'm not going to let you hurt her unnecessarily. And Travers lets him in to the knowledge that your Slayer just entered the field of battle half an hour ago. He went to check out what was going on. He seen her get into the place. So yes, back at the house, there's a back and forth between Buffy and this vampire acrylic, and yes, he's got the upper hand majorly in all the confrontations, and she manages to get down to her mother, and she's trying to rescue her, and he turns up. Buffy manages to steal the pills off him. This drives him crazy because he needs them. And spoilers, I'm going to tell you how it ends right here. So if you don't want to know, go check out the episode. By all means, should have said that at the beginning of this podcast. These are very, very spoilerific. So if you don't want them spoiled, don't listen until you watch the shows. But yes, he gets the pills back off her, takes one or two, whatever he needs, and there's a glass of water sitting on the table, and he drinks it down to get himself composed again, and he starts to realise that something's not right, and he looks at Buffy, and she brings out a bottle of holy water, an empty bottle of holy water. The glass of water was full of holy water, so of course this is going to take him out in short order. She tries to free her mother just as Giles arrives, and the other vampire, Blair, that she knocked out earlier on, is now conscious. He makes a go to attack Buffy, but he's taken out by Giles. Yes, so her mother's saved. The vampires are killed. You know, good prevails, evil is punished, as per usual. At the end of the episode, back at the library, and this is why I love this episode so much. It's that dynamic between Giles and Buffy in this episode. It is very, very well acted, particularly on Giles's part. Yes, the guy is absolutely fun. He's a great, great actor. Yes, at the library, Quentin Travers, the head watcher, congratulates Buffy on her accomplishment, but she is that angry with him. She's just like, you should leave town before I get my strength back. And Giles is pretty much like, you've got what you wanted, you passed the test, you can go now, sort of deal. And Travers is like, not so quick. The Slayer passed the test, but you didn't. Looking at Giles, and Quentin fires him from the Watchers Council and prepares to assign a new Watcher to Buffy, warning them not to interfere before leaving. However, Giles is still the school librarian and offers to help Buffy as a freelancer. He's not going anywhere. And the Travers says to him, it's because of the fatherly relationship that Giles has with the Slayer. You've got, I believe his exact words were, you've got a father's love for the Slayer, and that's not something that she needs, or you need to do your job properly. And at the end of the episode, it's just, Buffy has this gash on her head, and Giles saying nothing, crouches down before her, and he takes she's like dabbing it with a cloth sort of a deal, and he takes it and out of her hand, and he starts to clean the wound, and it's very, very delicate, and it's just like a father working with a daughter. It is a very, very simple scene, but very, very effective as well. I absolutely love this episode. So that's it for the episode. So what else are we going to get here? Let me see. Looking up some notes online about it. It was released January 19th, 1999. Unreal. I still can't get over how old this show is now. It says here that a reviewer for the BBC wrote that the Slayer test made no sense, and that Helpless would have been better if Faith the Second Slayer were also present. She's went and walkabout in this episode. I don't really agree with that. The reviewer for the BBC wrote that the Slayer test made no sense. The reviewer said the betrayal of Buffy by Giles and the strains in their grown father-daughter relationship was heart-wrenching. Noel Murray of the AV Club described the episode as one of the most overly horrific, with creepy, dark houses and blood-splattered rooms. I agree with that there. Like, this other guy was like, yep. The reviewer said it is heart-wrenching between the two of them whenever that father-daughter relationship comes up on it. So well acted, but the fact that the test made no sense, I don't agree with that there. It made a lot of sense. Because they don't so much put it into words, but the fact that Slayers are called, they're normally quite young. At this point, Buffy's probably one of the oldest Slayers that were ever called. So whenever the Slayer hits, and Giles does say it, when the Slayer hits 18, or if she hits 18. So the chances of a Slayer getting to this age are very, very slim. So to put them through a test where they have to defeat a vampire with just their own, common sense, and not having to depend on the super strength that the Slayer has, it makes sense in the way of expanding their training out further, and goodness knows what sort of situation you would end up in where that would be helpful, but it's probably a good thing to try as a Slayer. But anyway, this show is great. I absolutely love it. Now, I have said before that after season 2 of Buffy was phenomenal, fantastic season of the show, and season 3 had majorly big boots to fill, and for the most part I don't think season 3 did achieve it, but it has some real strong moments in it, and this is one of them. That that the fight at the end between Buffy and Krillic is fantastic. It's good old style horror, and there's some comedy elements for you on there by him as well. Krillic, especially whenever she tries to use the cross on him, and that he's just like, he grabs her arm and holds the cross against him, and he's like, he takes it down to his stomach. Oh, go for it. Oh, thank you very much. Dirty Hellion. But it is what it is. It's a great show, and I have to go now and sleep off that pizza I had after my training tonight, or that McDonald's after my training tonight. See, I had a McDonald's and I'm still thinking about a pizza. Eternal fat boy I be. So that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, share it along, all that good social media stuff. Follow the show, email me, Hellmouth Hotline gmail.com. I would really appreciate hearing your thoughts on what you think of the show and how I can do this stuff better for you. So until the next episode, guys, stay safe, and I'll talk to you all then. This has been a production of Coins Age Media. Thank you so much